Hi everyone, this is Board Games and Bourbon. I'm Glenn Flaherty, and right now I want to talk to you about the 2019 release of Trajan by Renegade Games. Trajan, Trajan, depending where you're from. This game was made by Stefan Feld, and it's considered a masterpiece in gaming, also one of his three best, among the games of Castles of Burgundy and Bora Bora. But whereas those two share an underpinning of dice placement, Trajan has the most unique gameplay. I'd also say it's his best design because while the rules are very simple, the implications are quite powerful. You'll see immediate implications and also long-term ones as the game plays out. It's also his most thematic in my book, and that's because everything in the game harkens back to the life of the Emperor Trajan. Now, Trajan himself was considered one of the 5 good emperors, and this is because he ruled with the Senate. He did not impose upon the Senate. And Trajan himself might have come to power through a coup. That's a little bit in debate. But in order for him to not be killed like Julius Caesar, he knew that he had to have the support of the Senate. So in this game, the Senate plays a vital role. Trajan himself ruled over a time period where Rome was his most prosperous. It had the most land, the economy was stable, and people were doing very well. He made friends with his neighbors, the Greeks. He even returned lands that had previously been taken. The Greeks and the Egyptians helped him build his navy, and he controlled the basin, both militarily and for economics, and that plays out in the game. He had a lot of construction projects, including Trajan's column and his market, and the lands also expanded under his control. And all of that is about to play out. You'll also see how vital the role of the Senate is in the game and how having the influence and power within it helps you win this game. Now, the Mancala system itself, as it plays out, is interesting because, as I'll show you in a minute, as you're making decisions, you have to rotate these cubes around the board in order to decide what you're going to do. And within the rule of Trajan, especially at the end, he couldn't do everything he wanted. He would take small defeats in order to buttress other aspects of the empire. So when you're making your decision in this game, you have to make some sacrifices now to have payoff later. And that's a really cool feature. So let me show you how the game plays, and we'll talk more about it. Okay, so what we have in front of us is the main board and the sideboard. And this isn't a rules video. I want to show you how the actions are all one big net that have implications throughout. You have the personal player board that not only shows you what's available to you, it tells you where your cards are going to come and some bonuses. And then you have the big board where you and the others are going to kind of fight it out here. I talked earlier about how the Senate was very influential. And if you move higher in influence in the Senate, you're not only going to get victory points, you're also going to get an end game scoring condition. That'll help you. If you're the leader, you're going to get something like this. And let's see if that'll focus on it. You'll get 9 points for every tribute here. That's fire. And tribute means basically don't kill me. It's not a Michael Jackson concert at the Kennedy Center. And if you're number 2, you're going to get only 6 points. So it would behoove you to come in first. You also have the forum. In the forum, you basically take things here, like you can take tributes or actions you might be able to buy in the future. Over here, you can choose actions to put into your Mancala. We'll talk about that in a second. You can also go and build, send your people out. And when you build, you do different things, but here's the cool thing. Let's say I built this little tile here, okay, that has a little house on it. All right, well, I will not only get 5 points, but when I bring it over to my personal board and I put it down, it's going to trigger a second action. It's going to trigger Senate powers, and that means I can move up on the Senate board. So you can already see how it's playing out. I also have cards I can trade in commerce. I can trade in with the Navy. I can do either cards that are all equal. The more I have, the greater the score. All non-equal, again, the greater the score. Pairs, again, equal. If they're not equal, the greater the score. But once I go, the next person can score the second side. Okay, so again, it's a race. So you see a lot of competing races. You also have over here where you're trying to expand, and this is into new lands. You're expanding and moving your military leaders. Like let's say over here, if I go over here, I'm going to get 5 points. If my little person goes, my little soldier that follows, I get to take the power. Well, what are some of the powers in the game? Well, this right here, oh my goodness, look at that. Again, it's power in the Senate, and that would give me 4. I would take that and put that in my personal area. Now, how does the Mancala work, and why is it so impactful? Well, on your board, you have certain powers, outside powers and inside powers. Inside powers are always available to you. Outside powers you have to earn. And let's say I wanted this power over here. This power, let's see if I can put it on the board, says that if I get a white and an orange cube, I can move a person into my building area and I'll get 5 points. Well, if I want to do that, I need to get white and orange. Well, I have white and orange here. And what does that mean? That means, well, let's see. I have 2 tokens here. That allows me 2 movements. I'm going to go a 1, and then I go a 2. And then now that I'm there, I have my orange and my white. I can pay for this. Kaboom, it is built. I get my 5 points. I can also move my worker. I'm going to move my worker, and when I move him over here, I can put him wherever I want to start. I'm going to put this person right here and take this one. That matters because the next worker that comes out has to be adjacent. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and take this sucker. Yeah, you know it. That's worth 3 points. I'm going to go over to my board. I'm going to put it down, and that's going to trigger a Senate action. And the Senate action, I'm going to take my fire because I do not want to die. And I'm going to take that. I'm going to put it over on my board. Kaboomy, so I have it for later. Now, every time we do something, we move a certain amount of stones, this little figure goes around here. What that does is it'll eventually trigger, 1, 2, 3 times, and it'll tell us what tributes we have. Every time we go around, we have to pull a tribute token. This says I need 2 fighters and I need some bread. I don't have that. Whoopsie daisy. So you go over here. If you don't have 1, you're going to get -4 points. If you don't have 2, you have -9. And if you don't have 3, you have -15. So that can really harm you. Okay, now the good thing is you start on 0. So I guess if you go negative, maybe you could try to trick someone into saying you scored 90 points, but you're not a liar. You're going that way, and you want to have the most. So as you can see, everything you do has multiple effects. All right, so I just triggered this outside power, but I also get to do the inside power. So I get to do the forum one more time. And knowing, let's say that I had to pay a cap here, a worker, I would go ahead and take that in advance and put this right there. Okay, and that will help me pay it. So now I just mitigated my 15 and I turned it into a -9. I basically saved 6 points. And at the end of the game here, if you have these tiles, you can that look like bread, fire, and soldiers. Again, you can trade those in for points. There's also tiles you can get over here, and you can basically pay for them to do secondary actions. If you have the money, you trade in a token, you can pull off some extra power. La-da-da. But the game goes on like that, and understanding what to do is very simple, but the implications are large, and that's what makes this Stefan's greatest game. So I encourage you to check that out. It's one of my favorites. The differences between this and some other versions of the game is that there's a different box art, and the rule book has a few more clarifications in it, okay? But the production is top-notch. You're going to really enjoy it. If you like Euros, this is an absolute must. Anyway, I'd love to hear from you anyway, and talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.